Today we're really getting into the career of Christy Canyon.
Yeah, a pretty significant figure.
Definitely. We've got a bunch of sources. You shared her IMDb bio, which seems quite detailed. Filmography from listvote.com.
Mm-hmm.
Some really candid stuff from a Reddit AMA by another retired actress.
That should give some good context.
Yeah, I think so. And just a quick mention of her autobiography in Cinema Retro. So the plan is to kind of weave all this together.
Right. Understand her journey, the industry back then, and, that big shift she made into radio.
Exactly. See what it all tells us.
Sounds good. The sources seem to cover a lot of ground, from the basic facts to maybe some deeper industry insights.
Okay, so let's dive in. IMDb gives us the basics.
Yeah.
Born, Melissa K. Bardesbani.
Right. Armenian and Italian heritage. Grew up in the San Fernando Valley.
Born 66. Entered the industry in 84. That's right in the middle of the so-called golden age, isn't it?
Absolutely. That timing is pretty crucial. It was a different landscape then.
And she rose fast. Discovered by Jim South, mentioned alongside Ginger Lynn, Tracy Lords, became a top name really quickly.
Yeah, the bio notes, she was ranked consistently among the top 20 all-time by AVN and critics. That's significant recognition.
For sure, it wasn't just being there at the right time. It seems like she really connected.
Must have. And debuting around the same time as Tracy Lords. That brings up the whole underage scandal from that era.
Right, the IMDb bio mentions Christy Canyon said she never suspected Lords was underage.
Yeah, she apparently said Tracy seemed very experienced on set, which, gives you a glimpse into maybe the confusing nature of things back then.
Yeah, things weren't always straightforward, it seems.
Mm.
And then pretty early on, 84 to 86, she actually leaves.
Takes a break, yeah. Goes to work in her father's business.
But, and this is interesting, her films kept coming out during that time she was retired.
Right. Which kind of raises questions about contracts and, how much control performers had over the back catalog, maybe.
Yeah, like once it's filmed, it's out there, regardless of whether you're still actively working.
Seems like it. The studio probably held those rights pretty tight.
Then she comes back in '89.
Uh-huh. And not just comes back, but starts her own label, Canyon Video, with video exclusives.
That shows some business sense, maybe.
Yeah.
Taking more control.
Could be. And then later she signs with Vivid as a contract star.
Which was like the big studio system of the adult industry at the time, right?
Exactly. Like the old Hollywood contract players, in a way. It definitely cemented her status as a top-tier performer.
And she kept making films until '97.
Yep. A pretty long second run. And even after she stopped, compilations, reissues, they keep selling. Her work clearly had legs.
So, '97, she stops filming, but doesn't totally leave the public eye. She kept dancing.
Right, until 2001. So still performing, just in a different way.
And then the really big transition into radio and TV.
Yeah, that's quite a pivot. Hosting Playboy Radio's night calls on Sirius, that was a pretty high-profile gig.
And it wasn't just a one-off. She went on to Spice Radio, Radio Sex.
And now Vivid Radio, still going since 2014 apparently, all on SiriusXM or the internet. That's, 2 decades in broadcasting?
It's a whole second career. A really successful one, it seems.
Definitely. And it's interesting what the bio says about her attitude towards her film past.
That she's proud of it.
Yeah, unlike some others who maybe try to distance themselves, she seems quite open. Maintains a website, interacts online, even offers advice to newcomers.
Wants to give back, the bio says. That's quite a stance.
It is. It suggests a certain level of comfort and maybe, confidence in her own story. No regrets, perhaps, or at least owning the choices.
And she literally wrote the book on it. Born to be Wild, her autobiography. Came out in 2003.
Did well, apparently, and she's working on a second one. Danger, Curves Ahead.
Covering the dancing, marriages, later film stuff. So yeah, definitely controlling her own narrative.
And that AMA you found from the other retired actress, The Pretty Friend.
Yeah. It gives a different perspective, obviously, but maybe sheds light on the general experience back then.
Could do. Like, she described it as feeling like a job.
Right. Having favorite coworkers, even having fun on set sometimes.
Which kind of aligns with Christy Canyon staying connected to the industry, offering advice. Suggests it wasn't necessarily this universally negative experience for everyone involved.
The AMA also mentioned writers being involved sometimes.
Oh, interesting. So maybe not always just improvised scenarios. There might have been some scripting or structure on certain productions.
Could be. And the AMA person talked about being pretty open to anything when starting out.
Which makes sense, right? Trying to get established, prove yourself. Maybe Christy Canyon had a similar phase early on.
The AMA also touched on, well, the tougher side. potential mental health issues, addiction.
Right. It's important context. It wasn't all easy, and there were potential downsides, serious ones for some people.
Though financially, the AMA respondent said it was great.
Which lines up with top performers like Christy Canyon, likely earning well. But
the AMA person still wanted other work to stay busy.
exactly. So maybe money isn't the only driver. Or it doesn't guarantee, complete satisfaction long term. People need more than just a paycheck.
Okay, let's touch on some of the trivia from the IMDb bio. Some quirky stuff in there.
Like going to school with Adam Carolla.
Yeah, elementary and high school. Apparently, he asked her out. She said yes, but then stood him up.
Yeah, that definitely humanizes her. Just normal high school stuff.
Totally. And the orchestral maneuvers in the Dart song reference. Heaven is Christy Canyon falling in love with me.
That's pretty amazing, actually. It shows she really broke through into mainstream pop culture awareness in the early 90s.
Yeah, not many from that industry achieve that kind of name recognition outside of it.
True. The bio also mentions something tougher, though, about her early life.
Yeah, her parents apparently blamed her for their divorce, and she ran away at 17.
Okay, so maybe a difficult start, which, can sometimes shape the paths people take.
Definitely adds another layer. And just for the record, the bio lists her last actual porn film as Where the Boys Aren't Nine.
Made in 96, released 97. So a clear endpoint to that phase.
And it mentions her trademark, large natural breasts. Physical attributes often become part of the brand in that line of work.
Inevitably, yeah, it's part of the visual medium.
And finally, that list vote filmography. We only got a few titles: Educating Mandy, Sister Dearest, American MILF.
Doesn't tell us a huge amount about those specific films without more context.
No, but the list itself and just seeing the sheer number of genres listed on that site in general.
Right. It just underscores how much she must have worked, how prolific she was during her active years.
Yeah. So pulling it all together, what's the main takeaway here?
Well, it's a story of achieving really significant fame in one often controversial field.
During its sort of peak era.
Exactly. Navigating the ups and downs, including scandals like the Tracy Lords situation, taking breaks, coming back.
And then pulling off this really impressive second act in radio that's lasted for decades.
And doing it all while being remarkably open about her past, not running from it, actually engaging with it, writing about it, advising others. That feels quite unique.
It really does. It sets her apart from maybe the more common narrative we hear sometimes.
Yeah, it shows a different kind of post-industry life as possible.
So thinking about her whole journey, from the Golden Age films to the intimacy of late-night radio, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
About what, specifically?
Well, about how someone manages such different phases of a career, especially when they exist in such different cultural spaces. How do you reconcile being known for one thing and then building a whole separate identity?
And how does public perception shift, or not shift, over that time? And what does it mean to be proud of work that society often judges pretty harshly?
Right. It's complex. Her story doesn't give easy answers, maybe, but it certainly gives you a lot to think about regarding identity, career, and owning your own narrative.
Definitely a compelling deep dive.